Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I Something I wanted to talk about today was the connection between gratitude and self-doubt, and this is quite an odd one, and I've never heard of anyone else talking about this. So maybe this is a common experience, and maybe people haven't articulated it, or there probably is stuff out there on this. I just don't know about it. But we're often told that gratitude is meant to make us feel better. Gratitude is the path to enlightenment, it's the path to better connection and joy and fulfillment. And it is all that. But in my experience, unfiltered gratitude, can lead to a lot of anxiety, actually. And I'm not going to explain this very well, almost certainly. But I'll tell you this. So, when I love to write, I love to write poetry. Maybe one day I'll publish a few, maybe. Um, I love to just write to free my mind. I find it's a good way to find out what I'm really thinking. So when I when I write, I tend to end up in similar places. I write and I feel whatever it is that I'm feeling, and then towards the end, I I end up in a grateful place, and it's not something I'm trying to do. It's not something I'm aiming at, but I end up there, and I don't know exactly why that is, but I know that it leads me later on to feeling anxious. I think gratitude is a lovely thing, but just like anything else, too much of it isn't good. And that's my sense, and I don't fully understand that. I think there are some things that are just good that you can't have too much of, but I think that there's only a few of those things. I think that you probably can't have too much love. You can have the wrong kind of love, but too much of the right love is good. Right? Love that is bounded by kindness and generosity and firmness. But like gratitude isn't like that. It's not one of those things. So it seems to me that my feelings have a cyclical nature. I would start off feeling anxious, I would write for a while, and that would lead me to gratitude. And then when later on, the difference between what I'm feeling in the present after feeling gratitude, the difference feels too much. And maybe the answer is to be more grateful after that. I think that the frustrating thing is that that kind of gratitude, almost purposeless gratitude, makes you feel inadequate. Because you should feel good about all the good things, but you don't. You don't feel good. And there could be many things. It could be struggling in school, could be struggling in a relationship, could be feels like a mountain of debt. You could have failed in any number of ways. And attempting to feel grateful at the wrong time can be a bad thing, I think. And I'm open to being to I'm open to being wrong on this. I kind of hope that I'm wrong. I think often with feeling grateful and actively feeling grateful in this way can make you feel guilty for wanting more than you currently have. And that's, how do you balance contentment and feeling present with with a recognition that you should try and improve? How do you balance those two things? Gratitude sometimes feels like settling, and not being grateful feels like striving, and you want to always be striving. Makes me think of something Solomon says in the Bible, Song of Solomon. No, sorry, Ecclesiastes, where he says there is nothing better for a man to find enjoyment in all his hard work. There's a time to be at work, and there's also time to enjoy that work, to let go of the anxiety for a time. If there's nothing you can do about it, then it's time to let go of it. And that's kind of what Christ was talking about in the Sermon on the Mount. He talked about your Father knows you have need of all these things, referring to like clothes and food and the basics in life. He said, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. I think one thing I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do it badly, and I think that's okay. I know that's okay, but I try and watch myself, and I've heard this from different people. I first heard this from Jordan Peterson, although I know other people have talked about this idea, but watching yourself carefully. And the way Jordan Peterson phrases it is to treat yourself as if you were looking after someone that you care about. Treat yourself, and to watch how you treat yourself currently, and to try and figure out what is going on. So I guess I have this, and then I have this kind of this attitude, this cyclical attitude of anxiety leading to gratitude, leading to more anxiety. And it's important to be present and content with what you currently have, but it's also important to balance that with striving for more. And not necessarily more money, but although it could be that, being a better person, being a better man, woman, husband, wife, student, worker, whatever it is. Then how do you do that? I guess that's my question. Do you know, there's this guy called Jim Quick. I think it was him that said this, and he's a memory expert, and maybe you've seen his work. I read his book called Limitless, and it was a very interesting book, and lots of the techniques in there that I still use in terms of remembering people's names, and although I'm perhaps not as good as I should be. But he talked about this idea of, instead of balance, having harmony. And I talked about balancing between striving and gratitude, and yes, but the balance between striving and gratitude, between contentment, but also recognizing that there's room for improvement. How do you balance those two things? And perhaps it's not balance. And something that Jim Quick said was, he talked about this idea of harmony. And he said, in an orchestra, you have all these different instruments. And you have a violin. And the violin maybe plays 100% of the time. But up in the back of the orchestra, you perhaps have the oboe. And the oboe maybe plays for 20% of the time. And both are important for the music. The end result is that both contribute to the music and make the music beautiful. What give you the feelings that you're meant to have towards that piece of music. And he used this idea of harmony to explain, instead of work-life balance, he talked about having life harmony. And that balance gives you the idea that you should give an equal amount to both things. So you have an equal amount of time on your work and an equal amount of time on your life. As if your life can be broken up into just two things. But what he was suggesting was having harmony in your life. That you give the time that you need to give to work. You give the time that you need to give to your family, to your hobbies, to your interests, to your things that you're trying to learn. You give the time that is necessary to those things. So instead of giving everything equal, give what is necessary. And perhaps the relationship between contentment, gratitude, and striving and anxiety. Perhaps it's about harmony. Perhaps connecting these ideas means that you don't need to be in a euphoric state of gratitude 100% of the time. And you don't need to feel bad about that. But accept that the reality is what it is. And perhaps there's a time to feel anxious. Perhaps the time to feel anxious is when you can do something about whatever you're feeling anxious about. So if you're feeling anxious about money, why not feel anxious about money when you're at work, when you have the ability to go create, to go solve problems that would generate money? Perhaps that's the time to be anxious about money. I think too often we are spending our time thinking about another thing. We're at work thinking about our family, and then we're with our family thinking about work. And what if we just thought about work when we're at work? And what if we thought about our family when we're with our family? How do you think that we can gain more harmony in our life? How do you think that we could be more at peace while striving for things that are better? I really would like to know what you think. Because I'm not 100% clear on this. And I wish I could just come and give an answer that was right, that was clear, obvious perhaps. I think there's perhaps too many people online telling you with certainty things that they are uncertain of. Perhaps gratitude is about accepting the good, and striving is about not accepting the bad. At least not accepting it permanently. Is this something that anybody out there has struggled with? I can't be alone in feeling this way. And I hope that there is at least someone I can just connect with on this. Because I think I've never heard anyone talk about this stuff. And I don't think I'm alone in this, but it feels like it. Yeah, that's it. Well, if you have any thoughts on today's subject, give us a comment if you want. If you don't, then that's also absolutely fine. And I hope that you have peace and joy and love. And I hope you have a great day. And yeah, take it easy.